Welcome to the Facerocker Podcast number 69, which is a very special number, Matt. You know why? It's a product of two prime numbers, 3 and 13.
Okay.
Fascinating. This week, we talk about the Oscars. It's Oscar season. We talk about my trip to the White House. Sorry, I didn't mean to shout that.
We're very proud of you for that.
Sure you are. We get into that a little bit. John Karmen joins us. Overall, a rollicking good time. Enough chatter. Let's get to the show where we talk.
Do it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another Facerocker Podcast.
Yet another.
Joined today by, as always, Matt Arnold.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, actually. Des Darnell.
Des Darnell.
Des Darnell.
I'm switching it up this week.
Des
New last
Arnold.
name.
And international man, Mr. John Karmen.
That's me.
The
Have you
man
ever been
himself.
out of the United States?
Sure.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
something I thought you
Why
had.
would I not say international man and mystery?
Hey.
What's your favorite place outside the U.S.? U.S. obviously is number one.
I've
Right.
actually only been to France like a bunch.
A bunch?
Because
Like a bunch.
a good friend of mine growing up, like my best friend in middle school, moved out there, and I would go out and visit with him and stay with him. He lived right outside Paris.
Riveting tale.
Just
explaining.
lackadaisical summers spent in the
Thanks,
Lyon
John.
countryside.
Yeah, it was my first drinking experience, because the drinking age is 16 there. So
How was that? Well, your first
fantastic.
drinking experience was in France?
yeah.
And where was it?
What
What
did
was
you
that?
have? Some
Paint us a
champagne?
picture.
Some
Well,
champagne?
it's 16
With your words, John.
It's 16 for beer and then 18 for hard liquor. So it's just beer.
Wine?
Just beer.
Wine.
That's the
Oh,
story.
wine, I guess
just,
wine too.
Just beer.
That's it.
So you just had
Not where in France.
John,
that
these
was.
are
Paris,
riveting tales of
Paris.
your-
I was in the glamorous streets of Paris. There was women throwing themselves at me, and I was like, "I'm too young for you."
I just like
you
the
got it
idea-
at like a.
It's somehow even worse when you try to embellish it.
I love the idea. I love the idea that this is a 16-year-old kid who took like one sip of Bud Light.
Yeah, you just drank at a
Ew.
restaurant, didn't you? Was that what it was?
No, we would go out and on the town, and
I just know you, your personality. You probably your first sip of Budweiser, you're like, ew, I only drink craft beers. Take your Budweiser.
Man, Des is
sugar.
throwing it
yeah,
at you.
wow.
This
is
is
all
trying to
out
get
of
you amped up, John.
This isn't all out of
You
salt.
guys don't like outsiders in this room, that's for sure.
I just don't like each other.
No, it's just you, man. It's just you. No, I'm kidding, John.
We are prepping though for a real John Karmen masterpiece coming up here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's coming down the line?
So Roman Atwood did this crazy video, which got like tons of views, where he filled his house up to, I think like knee height and ball pit balls, and he was looking to get rid of them. And we happened to have been coincidentally talking about turning our office into a ball pit for an episode of my show this week at RocketJump. Check it out if you haven't seen it. RocketJump 2. It's not on the main channel, so you gotta search a little more. You gotta search a little more to find it.
That started
but, you
out
know,
as a solid plug.
That was-
and
that
then
was-
it sort of
I
nosedived.
was literally about to be like, "Hey man, solid plug for yourself," but then
Nope.
I was like,
Then
"Oh,
you
wait, hold
lost
on.
it. You lost faith in yourself.
No,
Also,
That's the
comes out
truth. It's the truth. It's
Some
on
weeks,
RocketJump
not
2.
all weeks.
Yeah, what's just the name of the show? It's called This Week at RocketJump.
I was immensely entertained by how you yourself couldn't even plug. Like you didn't even convince yourself of that plug halfway through the plug. But good, yeah. Otherwise,
I'm telling the
pretty
truth.
good.
Nice
It's
try.
just that just because it didn't have the high energy.
So otherwise, you came into an office worth of ball pit balls.
well, not me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we desperately wanted that giant amount of ball pit balls because we've had this idea for how long?
Good
It's been a
long
long
time.
time.
Yeah, and Roman was nice enough to hook us up, and so we're doing a straight up Lovecraftian horror film set.
Whoa,
in-
you just gave away how it goes.
You could bleep all that.
No,
should
no,
bleep
no,
all that.
no.
Who
It's gonna be a
cares?
little bit. We're working on it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But we're gonna be dumping. It's been so bad, by the way, outside. We have so many balls outside.
Well, they're all just in our storage. We didn't have them on our storage, and we tried putting them in all
How
the
many?
common
A
areas of the office.
250,000 ball pit balls.
250,000 balls. We
200.
had them in the alley that ended up being a fire hazard. We put them in the common area of the office that ended up being just
Annoying to everyone else.
General overall hazard of falling, fire, or everything. So now they're just like stacked in our storage unit, like 5 bags high. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. So John, are you excited? We're gonna be going main channel with this beast.
Very excited. Yeah.
Yeah, are you up at night like worried about it, like sketching out storyboards?
You have to live up to Freddie Wong.
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
Yeah, the sole
yeah.
creator of all content and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, duh.
I'd be worried about it if there wasn't an awesome team of people actually working underneath
Diplomatic
all this.
answer,
Stop.
but false.
No, seriously,
Well,
because
thank you,
because
John.
on my show, it's literally all me for the most part. Except and then like sometimes people will give me like feedback on cuts, or I'll have like someone
I'm
like
there.
DP it
Wait,
for me.
back up for a second. Sometimes people give me feedback on cuts.
I feel like I'm with you every step of the way on this week.
I don't know if this is an accurate representation of the working relationship you and Matt Arnold have.
Well, Matt is definitely the secret
Matt
guy,
just
the secret ingredient.
like,
Matt's what we call a sometimes friend. He's occasionally.
I'm just there to support.
Well, this is interesting now.
What?
Matt thinks he's an essential, and John claims full responsibility for
I mean, come on.
This got intense,
I just
boys.
John, it is
So-
definitely John Karmen is the genius behind Ruby Dog, and clearly this week at RocketJump is his own distinct, bizarre.
People started to pick up on that too in the
Voice.
comments.
Oh,
See
they
that?
are. They see it right away. They're like, that's a John Karmen production.
They know it. The man's got a signature stamp.
I think he's got the biggest signature
Yeah,
stamp.
most people work their entire lives and never find a voice, John. So that's pretty amazing. That's pretty awesome. No,
Feels
that's
good.
Those are that's high praise.
How would you describe your voice cinematically, John?
Where does it come from?
Just watching lots of weird foreign films and shit.
Uh-huh.
You know, just emulating.
And wait, real quick. What did I say at the beginning of the hour? What did I say at the top of the hour, boys? International Man Mystery.
Mhm.
International.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Man Mystery.
Been to France, drank a
Yeah.
beer, watched a
Had
couple
a
of weird
beer,
foreign
yeah,
movies.
some foreign films.
International Man of
Yeah.
Mystery.
Came back to the States,
Bing, bing,
fully
boom.
Yeah.
formed.
Now, if you want a good idea of my movie tastes and what I strive for, watch The Celebration. It's a Danish film that none of you have seen, so you can't even comment on this. So
I don't like it.
you saw it?
No, I'm just
Where can we
gonna
say
comment on it
Is it on
anyways.
Netflix?
Or on Hulu.
No, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
I
like
see.
Amazon
Of
it?
course.
You probably haven't heard
probably
of it.
haven't heard of it.
I mean, you have to frequent the secret spots only I know about.
No, trust me. When you see it, you'll be like, "Oh, I understand why this is a hard to find movie." It's very deeply disturbing, but it's also like funny and thrilling, and it's just everything. I
The
strive
funny and
for.
thrilling part is actually you'll confuse you because you'll be like, "This is funny and thrilling. This should be easy to find," but the deeply disturbing part.
Yeah.
I
you
will
told me about
say, I will say, John, that you gave me one of the best recommendations for movies last year, and this actually dovetails quite nicely into a little bit of Oscar discussion.
Pre-Oscar discussion.
Yes.
But you
Oscar
you
discussion.
recommended this movie Force Majeure to me, and
boy.
they were playing at Cinefamily, and we went and saw it, and it is a hysterical and very well put together movie. It completely looked over for Best Foreign Picture this year, which is I think a shame.
I think I know why. This brings back to what I was saying. It's extremely dark and I think potentially upsetting for a lot of people. But if you're able to kind of
Oscar voters.
like it's just like that's the thing. It's like it's almost like antagonistic towards people.
Towards
yeah,
towards
over
the viewer,
60?
or like
Well,
it's like
yeah.
challenging everything like people hold dear.
And Des, you bring up a really
But
interesting
John, when you
point.
get to like the age of 40, like people don't want it's thrilling for you, but like you get to the age of 40 and people are just like, I don't want somebody telling me my lifestyle is meaningless. Like I'm just
You
trying
want a
to
nice slice of
I'm coming home and my
disconnect.
kids yelling. I just want to.
Yeah, well, no, I get people
Yeah.
don't want critiques of society because they just want to like live complacently. And,
Yeah.
and I get that, but that's how
But
we
not John. Not John.
I
John
did,
turns a
and I
critical
reject
eye.
it.
John turns a critical eye to every single aspect of this disgusting filth we call mankind.
No, I mean I'm still in that like young idealistic phase. You know, you
Do
go
you
to
think you're
college
gonna?
and
Do you think that your future self will look back and be like, "Man, I would
Oh
care
man,
too
I
much."
should have relaxed.
I
a bit.
can't wait to meet John when he's 50. I hope I'm
Oh,
alive when
man,
John's 50.
Me too, actually. I would love to meet Dad John Carmen.
I mean, I'm not that much older than John. I just assume I'm not going to live to 50. But I'm hoping I'm alive when John's 50 because I feel like John's going to be a great
A different
50-year-old.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Des, you bring up an interesting
Yeah.
point about the Oscars, which this is a point I've been trying to coach my parents on for the last 10 years.
Yeah, which is
they still think, and I think a lot of people do, they still think that the Oscars is a meritorious, like the best movie in all way, shape, or form, objectively, the best film every year
as
will
voted
win.
on by everyone.
And that's like, and I'm like, Mom,
Yeah.
Dad, like the process doesn't yield it. It's a certain type of voter.
Right.
There's a politics, and they're like, why hasn't Leonardo DiCaprio ever won? That's just crap. Like and I'm like, it's the whole thing. He doesn't do the politics. There's a whole side of this that you guys aren't seeing, but they just have never. It's always been to them.
they don't understand who the Oscars actually serves.
Yeah, and it's
That's
just
the
kind of
issue.
interesting, and I think part of it's because it's become this sort of big public thing, this big public award show. Because Matt and I we were at the Producers Guild Award, which is like an award show for producers, and they don't even they don't televise it, they don't tape it. It's a different vibe because everyone there, since it's not taped, it feels raw. It feels like this is who people are.
For the people,
and you'll
by the
have like
people.
Big celebrities come up and they'll do a speech. Like last year, Robert Downey Jr. did like a speech, and it was to
Bob Iger.
Iger, right? The head of Disney.
And the jokes were like, I mean, I won't even try to do what the joke was, but the joke would be like, man, $200 million, am I right? And you're like, you wouldn't do that joke.
Like, you don't do that
on
joke
television.
on
It's a
TV.
joke between a guy who makes $100 million a year and the guy who owns a company that's worth $800 billion. And it's just like such an insider trading, like sort of
It's a different
award show.
And also, yeah. So anyway, point being, like, it's a thing now. And again, it's just like my parents. Every single year, I have the same conversation with my dad, where he's like, he has his list of like what he thinks is like the best. I'm like, Dad, it's not going to win though, because it's like it may be a good movie, but that's just the politics.
What blows me away is how surprised people are every year after watching the Oscars. That,
Yeah.
you know, the most popular, the movie didn't win, and this didn't get it. And why do they keep doing those musical numbers? How are you surprised? It's the same friggin' show every year.
I know. It's like, what do you expect at this point? Like, when you come into it.
That's what
And
it
I've always
is.
said, by the way, if you want to figure out what the real, like, what people really think, and people are qualified, because again, the guys voting on this, people voting on best sound mixing, they don't know shit about sound mixing. They're not sitting there being like, I mean, like, some of them might, but if you really, really want to see, you go to those guilds and you go to those guild awards. So like for sound mixing, it's the.
But
it's the
even
golden-
those have the same policy.
Yeah.
Even then, those are going to win. The people that are going to win are the people who are known in the guild, who even won in the guild.
Exactly.
It's all. There's no reason to even be
there
upset
is one
by it.
that
It's
isn't.
like,
There is
all
a-
that means
yeah.
is like that's the film that the Academy thought was the best.
Yeah.
That'd be like getting upset at your friend's top 10 list. It's like it's his top 10 list.
Oh,
like,
sure, yeah.
Like, it's like it's
Good
that
point.
group of the Academy liked this movie the best.
It's like getting angry at someone's like like NCAA like bracket. Like it's just their opinion. That's what they think. It doesn't mean anything, guys.
And it's and even this year it's weird because this year has like. I feel like if Selma wasn't snubbed and there wasn't kind of like the politics of race going into, which I agree with, by the way, like Selma should not have been snubbed, and there's a lot of everything people are saying about the fact that the Directors Guild, as we talked about a couple podcasts ago,
Is
the Academy is
all
overly white and male,
males. Yeah.
all 100% true. What's weird beyond that, though, is that this is a year that almost any other year, if it wasn't for that, I think most film fans wouldn't have been. Even my initial reaction was like, "Oh man, they screwed up. It's all like white males." And then I was like, "But also, Linklater and Wes Anderson have most of the nominations. Like any other year, you'd be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like two of the biggest indie dudes around, like got more nominations than anybody else. That's pretty huge. That's actually overall the nominees are like, it's a group of, it's exactly what we expect. It's a group of really good films that you like. It's a group of really kind of bland Oscar type winning films. And it's,
Yeah, but why? And
and
it's
that
like,
kind of no better or worse than any other year. In my
it's like,
opinion.
why is it? It's because people they feel like you got to manufacture something to talk about. Otherwise, you got nothing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just like, then you got to start talking about the movies and getting into that. And screw that. It's better to talk about like who got snow. I don't know. Anyway.
If American Sniper wins, though, man, won't be happy.
The fact that people
I couldn't even
people
finish
will
that movie. I
spend
finally
most
got
of
the
the night.
screener. I
Oh, you
couldn't
really?
watch
You got the
it.
screener? And
Yeah.
I got bored. I couldn't watch it.
Oh,
I mean, I was also
no.
just busy.
how are
but,
the sniping scenes?
Hold
Hold on, real
it's-
quick. How are the sniping scenes? And how are the American scenes?
Because they're
That's
both the
Freddie.
same scenes.
oh no!
Yeah, there's actually only one type of scene in that movie, scene where there's an American sniper. Yeah, I'll finish it at some point. I have no qualifications to judge that movie. I haven't finished it. I can just already,
My
There's better movies
favorite
out
year
there.
that we watched my favorite Oscar year, or at least like experience watching it, was the not watching it. It was season 2 of VGHS, the dunk tank scene.
when we won all those Oscars.
Yeah, the year we won the Oscars.
No, I remember that. We had it on in the edit bay.
Yeah, it was on the edit bay,
while we
and
were
I was
working
just
all night.
busy being a PA, and I was so busy that I was just like, before I knew it, I was just hearing like who was winning one at a time. Like, oh, huh. Instead of like sitting in front of my TV and watching all of the crap that they throw at you in between the awards, it's just so boring and self-congratulatory.
Chuck was too
It
busy
is.
making movies.
Yeah. It was nice. It was just nice. I'd be like, oh, huh. I could like
You
talk
have
to people
less of
about
a problem with the whole affair when you just hear who was
Yeah.
nominated and then who won, and
Yeah.
that's it. You don't have to put yourself through the 6-hour parade of dresses and hair weaves and the
I like
bobs and
it.
everyone
quite
getting
like
all
that.
done up
I
for
want-
this
real quick.
self-important thing.
By the way, Matt, you're right about the guilds. There is one though. The VFX Society Awards
Yeah.
is one that's pretty much like, yeah, that's right. Like, and it's
Yeah.
weird because the ones that win are always ones where it's like everyone's like, what? But then the people who do VFX are just like, oh yeah, are you kidding? Like 2012, like won a
Yeah.
bunch of like VFX. But 2012, was not a movie that got like really people were like in the Oscar side because it's just like a VFX movie. It's not really, you know what I mean? So it's like there's this thing where it's like if you're really looking for that stuff, you go to those awards. But it was funny because all the 2012 people was like, oh yeah, of course. You know, it was just like, oh duh, like, you know.
Or you can just make your own, judgment. You can just be like, that was my favorite actor of the year, and then you're good. That's all you need. What's the VFX you like the most? That's all you need to answer.
Yeah, but if there isn't an award show for me to justify my
if somebody doesn't qualify my opinion, then I'm insecure about it and I get angry.
then what does my opinion mean, guys?
Guess what? More than likely, things are not going to win that you want to win because everybody has different opinions.
Man, I used to get so excited when I was a kid.
Well, that's because I got into it when Lord of the Rings. I mean, I was spoiled because it's like going to USC and like Pete Carroll winning every year. I started watching the Oscars when Lord of the Rings was going on.
Yeah,
I loved Lord of the Rings. It's like, dude, we just win every year. Every movie I like is just going to keep on winning.
No, I remember the year when T2 picked up for makeup and VFX. I was like, that's it. That's the coolest thing. I want to do that. You know. Well,
I gotta say, also one of the irritating things for me throughout film school, and I don't know if you had this experience, Daz, was like when the Oscars came around, like film students everywhere took it upon themselves to be like, yes, this is the most important. It was like if you were a poli-sci like a political science major, it was like it would be your State of the Union address or something. It'd be like, oh yeah, this is the big event that we all got. And I was just like, guys,
it's just another award show.
This thing, like, relax.
Just a thing.
But so much effort and times ago, did you fill out your thing? And who'd you predict? And everyone's like, I'm like, I just can't get into this.
A lot of pretension in those
I just can't get into it, you know?
I went to some, I don't want to say because I think we've worked with them, so I'm going to avoid all names.
Don't name names.
And avoid all names, but I was invited to a party from somebody that we knew to go see the Oscars. I think it was 2 years ago. It was a bunch of producers and stuff, and they were all drunk, and like the entire time all it was like, oh, that guy shouldn't have won because of this, and like literally I just spent the entire Oscars just like in my head screaming. Like, oh,
people
you're
gossiping.
So wrong.
That's what
like,
I hate
too. You don't know shit. like that's not true. No, he deserves to win. It's just fine. And like, sure, he's not the best, but he did a good job. Or you don't know what acting like the whole time. So that's why I watch it with Ashley. And we enjoy the pageantry, and to me, it's
you
more
talk about the dresses.
Well, to me, it's more fascinating. I'm not saying they're being like, oh, like this is annoying. I'm more like, man, it's just a bizarre. You're watching a bizarre mixture of self-congratulation and insecurity, but like also politics within like that industry itself. Like, I don't know. This is kind of it's boring also.
I always thought that when they go up to people and they say, "Who are you wearing?" is such a Buffalo Bill thing to say to someone.
Yeah,
it's just like,
who are you wearing?
We were watching on TCM. They were doing like a 2-hour documentary on the Oscars. And it's kind of fascinating. They originally just all the winners.
Ballroom.
No, all the winners would know way ahead of time. They just get it and then just like do like
Let's
a radio
come
announcement
tonight and celebrate.
Come and pick up your award, and then like most people wouldn't pick up the award. But then it got to the point where like I forget why, but they were like people were getting upset that they won ahead of time, or they were like using it for like marketing purposes. So they started hiding it to the point
good old marketing.
Or what it was people wouldn't show up. It was like Clark Gable wins.
Clark
Gable
won.
won.
Where are you, Clark?
Yeah, then it's like, hey, and then nobody was watching it, and then they started selling ads on it. Then like, well, we should wait till the actual show, and then we can get them to show up.
Interesting.
And it starts slowly becoming this big
event.
thing.
Interesting.
But it's just weird for it to be competitive. Like that's the thing that actually weirds me out more than any of it. It's just this like weird competitive nature of it. Like, and there's some people who have won who essentially have like gone up and been like, there's no way you can say I'm better than like Al Pacino or whatever. Like this is absurd. Like we appreciate it. You're kind of in a tough spot though because you also are just an asshole if you're not thankful. It's like your peers give you an award.
Yeah, exactly.
So it goes like,
you can't walk up and say this
competition.
doesn't mean anything,
But fuck you, buddy. We all gave you an award.
Yeah, it's like we're just trying to celebrate here.
Yeah.
So award shows are weird.
It's a strange thing. So what?
We're not going to have to deal with those.
So we're going to have Neil Patrick Harris is going to come out and he's going to do a song and dance routine, right?
Well, that's a really real quick. I think that's the best part about doing stuff online. Is just like, award shows. Yeah, they're just weird. They're if you think, well, I always think about like because the Oscars started somewhere. And it was started in a weird spot. It wasn't even in it was just in like a ballroom, and it was just like, and I'm like I wonder. I'm like okay, and it must have been at the early movie days. I wonder what other off-brand award shows there were. And then I think about now, and I think of all the weird web award shows. And I'm just like, I wonder which one's the one that will become the one that actually is anything, and which ones will just eventually just and they're all who knows.
John, what would be your Oscar award?
Speech?
All right, okay, here we go. Best director goes to...
Big surprise. It's the Coen brothers, Steven Spielberg, Clint Eastwood again, of course.
John Karmen.
And then the winner is John Karmen.
John Karmen.
For this week at RocketJump, John Karmen.
I like walk really slowly up.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I just-
cameraman's finding you.
Yeah. on purpose.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right.
And then I just like stand up to the mic and I just kind of like look around for a while. You know, there's like this awkward silence, and then I just like lean down and I go, "Thanks, Grandpa," and then I leave.
Why Grandpa?
Interesting.
That's
That's
a
not
good
people
one.
would be speculating like all like that'd be the most memorable moment of the whole night.
Yeah.
Because I'd be a nobody.
Yeah. That weird guy?
Yeah,
What a
who's
weird
that
guy?
guy?
Who beat out
Yeah.
Spielberg?
I just imagine John being like, most memorable moment of the whole night. Wakes up the next morning, like front page, not John Carmen. Who's that guy who said things, Grandpa? That's all
Who's
the people
that
are going
man
to
of
be thinking
mystery?
about.
Mhm.
No, you got to like stand up on chairs and stuff if you're going to be in that
You
you know,
gotta
Oscar
throw
montage.
Throw something.
Yeah.
Spike your Oscar.
That would be intense.
Boom.
Yeah.
That would be intense.
That would be
Just
great,
a
wouldn't it?
full-on like football spike. That's how joyous you
Show
are.
me the money.
You know what? I'd watch that.
What?
John, just do that. Just
Oh yeah, that's got
When
some
you win an
serious
Oscar-
replay value.
All right, here we go. Here's a pack, John. All right. If you ever win an Oscar, you have to spike it.
No. If he ever wins an Oscar, he has to go there and just drop his pants.
Or drop it into his pants.
Yeah,
Drop it into his pants.
You know,
Drop
the
his
second
pants.
you
Rub it on
reach
your-
for a belt, they're gonna like play the music and cut away.
That would make it all the better, though.
That moment where you unlock, where it's
That-
like the right arm unlocks and cocks to the right. It's pulling the belt lip right outside the little tongue
The
thing.
big hooked vaudeville cane creeps in from off screen, grabs John by the neck, and yanks him promptly out of
That'd be
there.
hilarious if they had like 100-foot one.
100-foot cane.
Yeah.
Get him out of there. The
And
six
it's like,
guys
yeah.
on the end of it
Well,
trying
here's a
to
little
balance it.
here's a little funny thing about that. Actually, you just reminded me about something about the Oscars that Matt I think knows, which is so award show. One thing you don't realize at the Oscars, you don't really ever think about everybody going up to talk. They're different heights, right?
Right.
Different heights. Have you ever seen
The electric
the
microphone.
electric
Yeah.
microphone
Yeah, I remember the
stand?
first time I saw that. That was rad.
That's a family in LA, right? I forget, it's a family company, and they invented that basically, which is like it's a pre-recorded, like preset heights, so that the microphone is at the exact height that it needs to be when people walk up to it, and they don't have to adjust it
Don't
on.
have to
Just
adjust
under the stage is a crazy mechanical contraption, and they get paid just up the wazoo for this thing.
Is it motion activated, or is there
No,
a guy
I think there's a
with
guy.
switchboard?
He knows all the heights of everybody nominated. The person wins. They click it. It goes up to the height.
Yeah,
It's probably connected to an
intense.
iPad or something. He's just clicking little
And there's- and-
avatars.
and
His
a
little Robert
nine-
Downey Jr. avatar.
And I'm like-
Channing Tatum
It'd be
avatar.
funny if it's like the closer he gets, like he has to be like, oh crap, like maybe a little lower, a little higher. No, he's got to decide
Yeah, like,
in real time.
it's like
to
a
figure
guy
out
guiding
that.
an airplane in a LaGuardia. He's like, oh no.
It looks like one of those torpedo like bay doors you see in movies. There's just
Yeah.
like a target on the person's head, and it's just like
It's a little camera
I like
on
to
it.
think it's exactly like that.
It's a
Yeah.
camera on it that's zoomed in like 400%, and it's just looking at people's mouths.
There's a
Yeah.
teeny tiny man underneath the microphone,
In all
raising
honesty-
it up and
In
down.
all honesty, I do think that as a failsafe, they have a guy there.
No.
Like because it's a mechanical thing. If the thing
The
breaks,
fail-safe is the actor grabbing the microphone and just tilting it.
no, they can't have that though. No,
They
not
can't?
for the Oscars.
The
Not for the
Oscars.
Oscars.
Come on.
Invisible
Also, real
production.
quick,
Whatever.
not for something they're paying like $100,000.
Remember, the
to rent.
Oscars
Yeah.
are trying to win that Emmy for best live production. so
has that ever
they're not going to
happened?
make any mistakes.
I don't think that's ever
I
happened.
think the Oscars have won. What
Have
usually
they?
wins? Isn't it like the Grammys or something? I don't know what usually wins.
That's weird.
The Grammys is a pretty big
It's
production.
a big production.
That's
I mean, I
a
don't know
huge
what
production.
wins. Something wins.
That's weird. I wonder if there's like a circle where it's like, yes, and then this movie about the
Best award
Grammys
show?
won Best Documentary, and then this musical about, it's like, is there a
What category does that fall
It's
under?
like best
Live
best
production.
live
Live
production.
production?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like Super Bowls or what counts.
Super Bowls?
Super
or-
Bowls.
Actually, if there's any justice
All
in the
them
world,
Super
I don't have a
Bowls.
whole lot
if
of
there's
control
any,
over
if there's
the
any
Super
justice in
Bowls.
the world, just the WWE wins it every time, and Vince
Every
McMahon
night.
just rolls.
You know,
out.
Benji would like that. Yeah.
I just rolled. Benji has arms triumphantly in the air as a result of me just saying those three letters in
Speaking
a row.
of live productions, did you guys watch that SNL 40th anniversary special?
I did not. I didn't even know it existed.
No,
It
you
was
watched
on
that?
or anything.
All right, well, we can skip past that. I
Real
think I'm
quick-
the only
real
guy at
quick.
this table that
I saw
I
a
wish
little bit.
I'd
The
watched
best part about it is go to Norm Macdonald's Twitter, and he just went on an hour-long
Yeah,
essay
so that was pretty fascinating.
about just like the process of writing
yeah,
it.
it's really interesting that after all this time, they want a hit sketch on that show, they bring in Norm Macdonald.
Mhm.
You know, still like that
Yeah.
is one of their go-to guys. That's awesome.
I love Norm.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
So one of the reasons why we weren't around last week, I was at the White House.
Get out.
I
Wow,
talk about
were
it now.
you?
I was at the White House.
The
Matt was
White
Matt
House.
was poo-pooing on my accomplishment.
You're talking about
not.
a White House in Southern California,
technically,
right?
real
I was
quick.
very proud of you, Freddie.
No, you weren't.
I
Real quick,
was.
and also real quick, not the White House, the Dwight Eisenhower office building complex, which is to the
just
side of the White
down the
House.
street
Wait, so
from
you
the
weren't
White
at the
House.
White House?
You know? Okay, remember? You know,
Okay, wait, back up. So Freddie, okay, wait a second. Freddie
Wait a
opened this
second.
bit by lying about being in the
Yeah.
White House. Yeah,
I didn't know
this
that.
is the first I've heard of that you weren't actually in the White House.
The
I'm
office
picturing
building.
you in the Oval Office, like
Yeah.
opening up a
False.
little wooden crate and getting a medal and all this stuff,
False.
shaking Joe Biden's hand.
False. You seen Veep?
Yeah.
They nailed the look of that building. It's that
Yeah.
building.
All right.
It's there. It's there. I'm in there.
Okay, that's where the Veep.
Yeah, so they did
Is
this. So they
housed,
did this
right?
thing. And
Down
okay,
the
so
block.
real quick, it's really funny to me how the White House works because last year they were doing something around Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. They wanted to get people signed.
Let's move on.
But the best part was they called and they're like, hey, we're putting together a panel of digital influencers to talk about the Affordable Care Act.
Hey, how about
Can
that?
you meet with the president tomorrow at so? Oh no, sorry, it was like Thursday at so. I'm like that Thursday, and it was like Wednesday at 1 o'clock. I was like, so I need to book a flight in the next 2 hours.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds really cool. Yeah, the call of the president calls. Yeah, of course. And they're like, no, we're not covering flights or hotels.
The president called like you got a personal phone.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I'm saying,
Freddie.
the behest, the office of the president.
Wait. This was John's impression of Obama. Go.
Freddie, I'd really like to see you at the White House tomorrow.
Now, let me be clear.
None of us can do
Just
an
you.
Obama.
No, but I was just I was like really like no. I was like, come on, like you cover like no. And so I talked to one of my friends.
Figured you're a hot shot influencer.
Yeah,
you know?
clearly. Well, I talked to one of my friends who who is at Twitter, and he was like, oh yeah, they don't do it. They don't do that at all. It's weird. Like they'll be like, hey, can you come tomorrow? And like even the Twitter CEO has to like figure out his own way over there. And it's like, really, guys? Like they don't. Okay, all
I mean, the
right.
president only gets paid like what, like $300 grand a
$100
year.
million a year.
Yeah,
$100
$100
billion a year.
He gets
He's
1%
got
of the
access to the national treasury.
He gets 1% of the GDP.
Right,
That's
there's
the-
one person that doesn't have to pay for people to fly to see them. It's the president in the White House.
It's,
I know,
less
but-
than 300.
I
by
get
the
it.
way.
Also, can you imagine?
Much,
Can you
much
imagine
less.
that?
It's
You're
under
complaining-
100,000.
Wow,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
I was just surprised.
No, but
That's
if you're
all.
complaining about that, can you imagine if they found out that the White House was paying for like everybody's like, oh, the White House is wasting so much money paying for the tickets of celebrities and stuff to. I mean, people don't
come out
understand.
for
I get
photo
that. No,
ops.
I get that.
However,
People judge everything.
However,
I
the
get
White
that.
House did pay for an extravagant Halloween party when they had Johnny Depp dancing on the tables in
Good.
full Alice in Wonderland outfit.
They
They
should
paid for
party.
that?
They should
Yeah.
party every once in a while.
They paid for that.
Johnny Depp
but they
dancing
wouldn't pay
as
for
the-
Freddie.
for my no,
I'm friggin' furious.
but it was just how quickly it was just like, oh yeah, tomorrow. Oh no, figure it out. I was
So,
like,
okay, so
anyway, so the point is, so they brought us over there. It was supposed to be a little talk. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. It was a thing. It was like Biden showed up. He's basically just sort of sat down and sort of talked. And I realized what's interesting with all these sort of politician types is that they all have the same pattern of speech, which is big idea, call to action, personal anecdote, big idea, personal anecdote. It's just
call
like
to
sort of,
action.
that's really interesting.
Handshake, photo op, adios.
Well, but
muchachos.
what was also interesting is when he sat down, he kind of sat down, he crossed his hands and sat in front of him like this, sort of upright.
Mhm.
And then you looked at the table, and every single person, like 8 in each direction, all subconsciously mirrored his pattern of like
His body language.
It was
yeah.
really interesting. I was like, whoa, is this sort of this
Interesting.
weird, like unspoken sort of
How
thing where
much
he
power.
sat and how
He's a
he.
quote leader.
Well,
He didn't say that. You said that.
I didn't say that. But I'm saying like it's interesting because everyone sort of subconsciously mimicked the way he sat. And I'm like, man, that's really intense because it was just interesting.
So
to
do
see
you
that.
think you influenced?
Well, here's the funny
Veep?
thing because then I did the other because I noticed that. And then I was trying to do the opposite. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I was like,
putting
put
feet
one
up on the
arm,
table.
like behind me, cross my, be cool. I just being here, sitting here, cool. I'm not influenced at all.
Wearing your
But-
leather Harley jacket.
But then it was the exact opposite because then it was being influenced. Anyway,
Yeah.
I got.
And then Biden looked at you and leaned over. He's like, that one.
Did you get to talk to him personally at all?
No, not really.
No,
It was
just,
it was a
part
little
of the
bit.
conversation.
How's
Yeah.
the security?
Did you
Was it
guys
intense?
influence him? What was the situation?
It was just basically what it came down to was this. It was, hey guys, so kids, they don't watch Meet the Press. And Biden was like, I could go and meet the president, like kill it for 2 weeks. My daughter wouldn't know. Like, even though nobody
So
Did
it's
you say the
kinda
word
like-
kill it?
Kill it.
I killed it on me.
Kill it, meet the press.
He has a very colloquial way of speaking. And
Yeah.
even to the point where the person was like, hey, we gotta go. He's like, nah, we don't. Like, he's exactly what he like the way that the Onion depicts him. You're just like, I can totally see that being this guy. He's very, very, he can be, well, I guess, he can be both. He can be super political, but then he can be very sort of like, very clearly like a laid back dude.
It's like, how do we be more? How do we be more like you, Freddie, and appeal to a
Well, but the
bigger
question,
audience?
but the question is, you're just like,
pick
how
up
do you
a couple
guys?
of CG guns and go
Yeah,
nuts.
horrible. But yeah, but he was just basically like, yeah, kids don't watch this. How does the White House, how does the government communicate with this generation? That was it. It was sort of the big question on it. And that was it. It
You
was
see,
really
Obama just did a BuzzFeed video.
Yeah, and that's sort of that's sort of the direction they're going. Like sort of like, and before he showed
They're
up,
asking you essentially are a member of the propaganda
the
department.
propaganda
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How high was security there? Just
None.
asking.
Oh, I mean, it wasn't.
None.
It was
None.
like it was none
So you could have just.
to the White House.
I mean,
I
did-
mean, the White House
This is what
complex.
John-
no, you know,
Eisenhower
wherever you like,
complex.
you were in the same room with the second most powerful guy in the world. How high was security?
It was not. They did not flash it. It was like a guy at the door, but he looked. The guy at the door looked like a dude who could just been like an aide, like a dude who took notes at meetings.
So you
like,
could have potentially.
Whoa,
Whoa.
John.
What do you
John?
really think is the second most powerful person in the world?
No, air quotes. Air quotes. Okay.
Air quotes.
Come on. We all know it's the Federal Reserve.
Well, he did. He did actually during the meeting with the vice president. He did lean over and he told us something, like a huge state secret, which we'll reveal after the break. Talk to you guys in 1 second. Matt, how bad is your vision?
Terrible.
So
Awful.
you need to stop wearing your contacts all the
I
time.
wear my
is the problem.
contacts all day and night, which is bad. I need a pair of glasses.
Well, it's good that you mentioned that because this podcast is brought to you by Warby Parker. You know Warby Parker. Warby Parker, they're the guys who they got the coolest, most hip looking frames right now. They do glasses, sunglasses, reading glasses. If you want to get one of these, and they're super cheap, these glasses start at $95 with the lenses. If you want to get in on this, super good program that they got right now. They call it the Home Try-On Program. You can order 5 pairs of glasses. They send you them. You try them at home. You ask your friends, your family how they look. You don't have to go out to drive out to some prescription glasses store and all
Those
that
are
crap.
the worst anyways, because you know all the good lenses and
Yeah.
all the good frames are gone.
Oh, they're gone.
It's just all the crap.
Exactly. You go, so here's the thing. Go to warbyparker.com/facerocker. You can pick 5 frames from their website. They will ship them to you for free. You can try them on, pick the one that you like, get yourself a new pair of shades, glasses, what have you. If you use the promo code, you're supporting the podcast, and you're going to get free 3-day shipping on the final frame of your choice. So completely risk-free, free shipping all around. You have nothing to lose. Try out some rad-looking shades. Matt, highly recommend it. Lauren's done it. A lot of people here have done it. I have personally a pair of rad aviators on the way, which I'll be rocking. They won't be broken like in our logo, but I'll keep them shiny and mirror fresh for you. Anyway, head on over to warbyparker.com/facerocker. Get your 5 free try-on frames and get yourself some new shades, man. And we're back. And I lied. He didn't say anything. Well, there is one cool thing.
Come on, I'm dying over here.
There's one cool thing though.
Wait,
in that room.
what ad are we putting in there?
Is with Warby Parker.
You
Warby
just
Parker.
said the secret was Warby Parker makes the best.
No,
Whatever
I'll
they
do that.
make.
I'll do that. Yeah, well, in fact, you guys are
do
now
that at
hearing
the
the
end.
joke. You're hearing the joke before, after you hear the real joke, but the conception of the joke after the
Just
fact.
happened now
Real intense.
before we actually recorded the joke.
Okay, real quick. But there was something really cool in that room, which was they had a desk, and it was the whole thing was everyone's like, yeah, he'll want to talk to you guys about the desk. And there's this giant vice presidential old wood crazy awesome looking desk. But if you open the drawer, every vice president has signed the inside of this drawer, going way back, and they put a little piece of glass to cover it. And he just goes oh shoot, it's everybody.
I
It's
love that his bodyguards were even complaining to you guys, oh god, he's going to talk about the desk.
It was
again.
like the press whatever or
Yeah.
so.
Oh, the desk.
That's right, because I talked to, and also what was interesting about Washington D.C. was that it felt like L.A., but instead of talking about movies and stuff all the time, it was just politics.
Politics.
And it was politics, and what blog is covering this? And Politico, did they pick that up? And the first I was talking to a guy, a friend that works there, and this guy's a reporter, and the first topic of conversation was, hey, did you hear about this story? Did you guys get that? I guess it didn't go past the Beltway. Huh? What about this? Oh yeah, that was national news. This guy who plagiarized it. Oh, you guys heard about that? It was just this weird temperature check to be what news stories do you know that we care about, or which news stories nobody cares about outside of Washington D.C.
Yeah, it doesn't get picked
And
up.
he had the best quote ever about journalism because you're talking about the guy who plagiarized. He's like, what the heck, man? Journalism's easy. Just 2 rules. Don't make shit up. Don't steal from people. Everything else is gray area. That pretty much sums up like journalism for him. I was like, that's a great way of describing it.
So White House, huh?
So anyway, yeah, White House trip.
Did you sign the desk when no one was looking? That would have been awesome.
No,
Keep on rocking, Joey B.
They had this about Twitter. Who will be? That's the question. Who will be the first vice president to put their Twitter account?
Oh, I don't know.
I just imagine them signing over a bunch of the other ones. Like,
There's a lot. There's some that are like really faded out too. So you're like, because like it was clearly like this. They had begun signing this desk prior to the invention of the Sharpie. And like you could see when the Sharpie was invented based on that vice president. You're like, oh, it's like around this time because all of a sudden all the signatures are super legible and dark.
Right.
Whereas the other ones are just like clearly like some ballpoint pen. Or
It should be like a commercial for Sharpie to talk about the long-lasting effects of a Sharpie.
That would be
compared to-
interesting.
That'd be interesting. You wanna
Sharpie, hit us
sponsor
up.
us? Sharpie.
Sharpie.
At
We use a lot of
Sharpie.
Sharpies here. Sharpie.
Sharpie.
Just throwing it out. Sharpie.
That was the secret that Joe Biden confided in you, that Sharpie has the longest lasting ink.
Sharpie has the longest lasting ink. Exactly. So it was fun. It was interesting, and Washington D.C. is just like it's just such a weird city.
What did your
Yeah,
parents
it's a really
say?
weird city.
Hold on. Let me just pull this up. I was like, again, this was a relatively last minute affair, but then I texted my mom like a picture of the name tag
Yeah.
that they had, and she's like, they spelled your name wrong. Oh no, one, they spelled your name wrong. Also, that, and she was also like, where are you? I'm like, is that the White House logo? I'm like, guess where I am, Mom. She's like, are you guys shooting something? Is it like a set? I'm like, no, I'm in.
No, I'm
Do
here.
you see it? And she's like, oh, okay. What? Who are you meeting with? Biden? Yeah, your dad doesn't like him. I was like, all right, that's that.
I think she was proud of you deep down.
I don't. Well, I'll tell you what. You don't get it on text, baby. Don't get that on text.
You know, no,
if
it
there's
doesn't
one
come
place
through.
you don't get that from the Asian parents. It's
I
the
love
You know
that
what? They didn't give it
message.
to you, but the moment she hung up, she talked to all
She
of her
called
friends.
all of her
She's like,
friends.
oh, my son Freddie's at the White House. What's your son doing?
At least she could have done is send an emoji like or something.
She
winky
she
face.
just
Hey,
discovered.
good work.
My mom
Thumbs up.
just discovered emojis.
Are they
and it's
all
just
angry
been like-
ones?
Yeah, there's a
all
lot of
angry.
disappointed looking ones. Just sort of like shaming. There's actually, I didn't know that there was an ancestors emoji. So she's like disappointed your and then ghosts. Yeah, I didn't know that they had one of those. No. She it's like she'll do the 8 emojis in a row to like construct a sentence of emotion, you know, where it's just like, hey, you gotta do this, and it's just like winky face, like shrug, laughing, tears. And I'm like, what are you? This is not even a language
She's finally found the
anymore.
tool to express all the emotions she wants to.
Yeah,
She
and
wants to
just
express to you.
strings of emojis.
Anyway, guys, I wanted to ask you
Okay.
about the big movie right now, and I'm not talking about 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Jupiter Ascending.
Oh, what are you talking about?
The movie of the decade, Jupiter
Yes.
Wait, did you
Ascending.
see it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was. I
Were you
sat
there?
next to you.
You, didn't
You don't
sit
see
next
that
to me.
movie.
Wow.
You don't see
Wow.
Jupiter Ascending. You endure.
I don't remember.
You stare at
You
that movie.
tolerate Jupiter Ascending. No,
Jupiter
that's
Ascending.
harsh. Hold on.
No,
That's
no,
harsh.
no,
Come on.
No, it's the Wachowskis. They got great visuals. It has one pretty ridiculously cool action
Jupiter
scene in Chicago.
Ascending. John, you read the reviews, right? Give everyone a pitch.
I mean, he saw the movie.
He saw it.
Yeah, I don't
You
know
read the
if
reviews.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't
repeat
know.
those
You
reviews
make
for
more
us.
sense of the reviews than you can the picture.
Well, just some background on it. It was supposed to come out in July, and then all of a sudden it was just moved to February,
Dumped
which
to
is
February.
not a good
Never a
sign.
good sign.
January, February is
Hey,
usually
Kingsman came out in February.
Hey,
yeah, but like, I mean, come on. It was great. It's an awesome movie, but like, it's not a. It's not a.
Kingsman
big
actually moved to February
hit.
self-consciously, not because they thought it was
No, I
going to do
agree.
well, but it was because they didn't want to go up.
Occasionally
up
they
against
They're going to go up
But
against
yes.
all the crap that got dropped
against.
in
Well, they
February.
didn't want to go up against a comic Voltron.
Yeah,
They didn't wanna
this
go-
summer is like the most insane summer. But yes, usually when a movie studio puts a movie in January or February, it is bad.
Bad sign.
Bad sign.
And so, Matt is such a diehard Wachowski fan. and I
Excuse
could
me. We all.
I'm pretty sure we all are,
we
John.
all are, John.
Look, you know what's weird is The Matrix is Speed Racer is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I'm not even as big in The Matrix as most people. Like, I like the first Matrix
Yeah.
a lot. Not as big as other people into
Yeah.
it. The second two movies, I don't really like them very much. And for Cloud Atlas, like, I enjoyed it. But Speed Racer is so good that I will watch anything by them. And I was legitimately excited at how insane Jupiter Ascending looked.
No,
Yeah,
same
well,
here. Yeah, but for different reasons than you. I think part of you
For
in your heart
different-
was like, it could be a good movie.
Oh, I definitely
And was like,
was
this looks
like-
like a disaster.
Yeah,
I
because
definitely
you're a
was-
cynic and you go into it with nothing but negativity in your heart, breathing just sort
And
of this
it
blackness.
met my dark expectations.
It did.
One
It did.
by
It was
one.
definitely
You were
not-
expecting a pile of crap.
Yeah.
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 It's the ultimate. Even I mean, there's definitely inherent problems with the world and the stakes as they present it, because it kind of comes down to, I think somebody on Twitter explained it as like three rich assholes decide if they're going to destroy Earth in 100 years, which is kind of low stakes to a degree. It's one of those problems where like the world itself is really cool. A lot of the visuals are cool. There's a lot of repetitive stuff with like the rollerblading and stuff, but it's more just that whole movie goes like this. Weird shit happens. You have no idea why.
Yeah.
Big exposition scene explaining why it happened.
What just happened?
And then that is interrupted by another crazy thing happening. And then the next. So you're essentially bored and confused as it goes on.
Two emotions you don't want to be vacillating.
It's
And
kind
also,
of-
there's
it's-
also
Here's what I think Jupiter is. This is what I equate it to.
sure.
Some 13-year-old girl.
Oh boy.
She's
go.
like,
Oh.
you know what? I'd like to be a fantasy sci-fi writer. I'm going to make my first attempt at a novel. And some Hollywood guys took her first draft and turned it and threw $150 million. at it.
175.
Her first
Yeah.
draft opens with hunky celeb Channing Tatum,
Yeah, shirtless dog wolf
rollerblade
with the
rockets
road.
through the sky.
John, a 13-year-old girl or boy's sci-fi fantasy script would not be three assholes arguing about if they'll destroy Earth in 100 years.
Yeah,
It-
over wills and like
It is a very like dense. There's a lot of interesting ideas behind it. There's a part where it becomes like Brazil.
It is a wild, wacky
It
movie.
follows a lot of their themes of being
Class.
not a slave and your own identity and not being part of the system.
It definitely feels like a Wachowski movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
It's just man, I just wish it was better.
There's also stuff there's also just really inexplicable stuff where they'll be like, there's a scene where it's just like, Jupiter, you're a queen. The bees can sense you're a queen, and like bees swarm around her, and she can control bees. I'm like, yo, sick. She can control bees. That's gonna be a sick scene like later on when she like has a
No.
bunch of bees. No,
That does not pay
It
off.
happens,
There's a lot of
and
setup in
then
that film
never-
that does not
No,
pay
and then
off.
the stuff they do pay off, like Sean Bean's daughter coughs once, then he's like betrays them later. He's like, "Sorry, my daughter's cough." I'm like, "What? What?" Like,
I don't remember that.
I never remember that either.
And then he's like back on their side again. I was just like, "Dude,
I didn't know what was going on
I
with
had
this
to
story.
literally shut off my brain and just take in the images.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, I appreciate. I mean, at the
also,
same time,
wait,
I'd
wait.
rather have 100 movies that are that ambitious and fail than
so
more
ambitious.
Real
performers.
quick, and a thread that I've noticed in Wachowski movies, I wonder if you guys sort of detect this. I want to hear your thoughts on this. He clearly loves like the big family dynamic, and even in The Matrix, when he comes out, it's like there's like a family of like
Meaning
people
them.
that them. But I'm saying like Speed Racer's all about the family dynamic, and here they put a lot of effort into the showing like.
No, they definitely have. They
Yeah.
definitely have a sense. And that's why I like them. And like almost despite anything they ever do, I like them because they're super sincere. They're very ambitious. And to me, they always have good, moral, interesting themes. So, I mean,
They're
I want
always
them to keep
trying to
making
say
movies.
something, and they have a very unique point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, the main takeaway, because I mean, the Wachowskis have made stuff better than any of us probably ever will. So, they're awesome. But the one thing I would take away from this or just discuss is mostly just like, okay, this is tangential. Critics have no idea how to talk about acting. I think most people don't know how to talk about acting. We've talked about this before. People have terrible judgment when they say who's a good actor and who's a bad actor, mostly because they just don't understand what
The
acting
argument
is.
you hear all too often is so-and-so was horribly miscast in this
Yeah,
role.
And it's all about
usually-
it's like who they like really at the end.
Yeah,
of
it's
the day.
usually like, I mean, that wasn't the actor's problem. Like, that's really the performance, or even the editing, or even the director gave them the wrong direction. Like, they know
or
what
the
they're doing.
writing more often than not. Yeah.
I'm gonna forget his name now,
Eddie
but almost every
Redmayne.
review
Eddie Redmayne.
was complaining about him in that movie.
I was like, no.
That was the best performance
He was
of the
awesome.
entire
Yeah.
movie.
And I'll say this.
Channing Tatum, like Mila Kunis, I don't blame them. I think I don't know what I don't know what the Wachowskis were going for, but they had a very specific direction in that movie. I just don't think it worked.
It felt like they were detached and glazed over.
Yeah.
But Eddie Redmayne was the only person that
He
actually
chewed
felt
up-
like he was in the movie.
Well, he was
in the movie you
he
watched.
was purposefully playing detached and glazed over, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but it was like
Yeah.
I'd never seen a bag like that. It was like weird and creepy and menacing.
but it was like
But it
was
came
so
up. But
great.
Yeah, it
it
was
came up.
awesome.
I've seen people try to do that character before. Maybe that's why, because it's really hard. But despite like his like weird voice and like how detached he was, he did feel like the most powerful dude. Like he felt like the dude who like he just doesn't care and I'll fucking kill everybody if I have to. Like I was like, holy crap.
If everyone was acting on his level, like of his over the topness, instead of like trying to be like gravitas, this ridiculous.
For a movie about this connection between Kunis and Tatum, I felt like they were always pushed to the periphery of the screen and the story. They were always just in the background.
I was literally just
bizarre.
I was really just literally perplexed when they brought in like the love story side of it because I didn't sense any
I didn't sense that.
chemistry or story.
Here's an
dramatic
example of
build-up
the
to it.
romance. This is the romance in the movie. He's like, I can't love you. I'm a dog. And she goes like, I love dogs. And
Those are literal lines of dialogue from the film. I love dogs.
Here's my best part of that is then he's like, okay, and he leaves, and she's like, oh, I love dogs, and like, oh, I can't believe I said that, but she says it like, I love dogs.
No, I
Like,
do.
she's
I do love
doing
dogs.
a weird line reading of it, and then it cuts to him outside in the corridor, and he is a dog. So it's like he
And he's
hears
peeing
her,
on a tree.
and he like
No, I'm
turns
kidding.
a little bit slightly the camera. He's like, heh. And then like, what just happened?
I will
Such
say,
a weird movie.
I will say,
flying
and
dinosaurs.
I thought the movie was. I probably disliked the movie more than any of you guys, but like I will say that there's this Chicago like action scene where I guess they had to like film it over like a course of an entire
They
month
shot,
because
like,
the whole
1
thing's
hour
at
a
magic
day.
hour or,
Yep,
or
1 hour a day.
sunrise or something.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Spaceship
I was like,
throwdown.
I actually like, I was
John
to applaud, and then like no one else in the theater applauded. I was like, woo!
Everyone else is still trying to figure
I
out
was
what movie
sitting
they're
next to
watching.
John. I was sitting next to John. John goes, woo.
Yeah. I thought you were being sarcastic.
I kind of
same-
was, but
same.
I was just not expecting something so
That was
awesome
probably the
to be
best like Chicago photography I'd ever seen in a film.
was gorgeous.
That
good.
entire
Since,
sequence.
since the
God.
Dark Knight, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, to me, even Blue, because again, it's like they did the crazy thing, whether it was worth it or not. I mean, I thought it was beautiful, but yeah, they did 1 hour. It's kind of like Collateral over the course of just the 4 hours between like 2 and or like 1 and 4 a.m. where they did. But it was that? It was just like that entire sequence was like perfect, like just slightly pink light, like it looked incredible.
Yeah, Chicago looked the most beautiful city of
Yeah,
like in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty awesome.
So if you're theater hopping, worth it to pop in to see that.
Hey, look,
Or, yeah,
I
or
want to see.
pirate it and watch just that one. That's
No,
what I say.
don't encourage people to do that.
I
That
wanna
movie
see-
bombed, and that is not good. That is not good.
It's doing good. It's doing well internationally.
well, that's
Which is hilarious.
Yeah,
What
I
did
could
they
see.
spend
I
on
could
that?
see that doing movie well internationally.
Benji, will you look up what that movie's raked in so far? That was
It'd be
$175
funny if it has like different names in other
million
countries.
It don't
dollar
break
film.
that much,
Like
but
Wolf Dog and
Wolf
B
Dog.
Girl.
Wolf Dog and the Bee Lady.
Girl.
Wolf
Bee
Dog
Girl.
and Bee. That's the Japanese release. The anime. Like,
Danger Dog and Bee
At
Lady.
one point, like
Right again.
an hour and 45 minutes into the movie, where she has only been known as Jupiter Jones, at one point she just goes, "Call me Jupe,"
And then
and the entire theater was like,
Everyone in the
"What?"
audience was like, no,
No.
we're not calling
And then
you
here's the
Jupe.
best
No.
part. And then nobody in the movie proceeds to call her Jupe.
Yeah, that's the only time.
For the rest, for any time before that and any time after that. Benji here has some box office numbers for us.
35 million
35
domestic.
million domestic. 60 million
64.
domestic.
It hasn't opened up in China. It does have a chance of
man.
breaking even. I mean, look, they're not gonna make a sequel.
The
but-
Wachowski said like they're probably never gonna let us make a big budget movie again. Like
yeah.
Well, so one of our friends was
They've
like,
already
You know what?
acknowledged
And
that
them
it's
going
over
back
for
to
them, yeah.
having there's two things. One, they're going to do a Netflix show, which frankly, like that sort of thing is probably going to be better for them. And and the fact that they're doing with JMS, I'm so pumped for Sense8.
What's
That's their
JMS?
Netflix show.
What's JMS?
JMS is I cannot pronounce his name. He's the writer of Babylon 5.
Babylon 5 guy.
And I'm a huge Babylon 5 guy.
All right.
He's a really good writer when he's at the top of his game. But Sense8 sounds gonzo, sounds insane, and them doing sci-fi bizarre Netflix show sounds incredible. I also want them to come out with a 4-hour version of Cloud Atlas.
I hear there is a
yes.
4-hour festival version.
Because
That's
I liked Cloud Atlas.
nuts.
But it didn't quite work for me in some places, and I feel like that was probably because it was cut down.
Yeah,
It's those ones where like I would want to see more of it because when it worked is when like all the elements like flowed perfectly together.
That's incredible.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine cutting that film any
No,
more than they've
no,
done
and
it.
the fact that
because-
Klaus didn't get an editing nomination,
yeah,
insane to me. Like, are you
Yeah.
kidding? That's the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like cross-cut montage, like 90% of that movie is
movie.
that. It's insane.
yeah. I mean, obviously some stories are better than others, but like to me, like the moments that did work were clearly because everything flowed together. And it's like, oh, well, if they cut out an hour of that movie,
Like, what
like,
is in that hour?
there must be sequences in there that are rough now that once they put everything else in there, like flowed like awesome. So I don't know. I hope they do it.
Did that do well?
I mean, no.
It was the most expensive indie film ever made.
Yeah.
It was completely independently
It's
financed.
financed by a
Bunch of Germans.
German
Bunch of
financial group.
Yeah, a bunch of Germans.
Do you think those guys get all the creative freedoms that they need in the studio system?
I mean, all their movies are clearly 100% them.
It looks like it,
Like,
right?
there's
Even
nothing-
a $175
Even
million
all the stuff that's
movie.
wrong with Jupiter Ascending doesn't. It's not. It
Well,
doesn't
they're
feel like
riding-
at all like studio.
Well, and
notes.
again, to be fair, they're riding the Matrix, man.
Yeah.
You know, like
Still,
they.
do you think that they would ever get that opportunity again?
I think at this point-
No, I
gone
think
through
they
Jupiter
even said
Ascending.
it in their interview. I think that's.
I think
Jupiter
at this
Ascending
point the
was-
only at this point the only way they get the opportunity again is by agreeing to do another Matrix
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Like they got re-upped.
Or they
that.
do another huge movie.
Or
Yeah.
they take someone else's screenplay instead of trying to do this whole like we're the Wachowskis, we do everything.
No, I don't. See, I don't agree with that. Like
Wachowski's doing Aaron Sorkin script. Think about that.
No, because
I don't
like
want that.
oh no,
I don't want that, man.
I want them
I want
behind
pure,
it all.
uncut, raw
Look,
Wachowski.
Look, even great people make, and then what they aim to do is more likely to make, misfires or mistakes because they're doing something so ambitious and sincere and ridiculous that's like, man, what they're doing is hard. And I'd rather Jupiter Ascending come out every year.
I'd rather
and 1 out of 5 of them being amazing.
Yes, I'd
than-
rather 1,000 honest failures, but honestly reaching for
Yeah.
something than a whole bunch of low ball, T-ball bullshit lobbing over the plates.
I gotta say, when Speed Racer came out, I was just like, that looks
Cried.
terrible. It got
Oh, wrong.
awful reviews.
Yeah.
It's like 43% Rotten Tomatoes. So
Yeah.
I just never saw it. Then when I met you guys, you were all like diehard
Check
fans
it
of
out.
it.
Yeah.
And I watched it. I thought it was awesome. And,
Yeah.
and when I was watching it, I completely understood VGHS. Like, where that was coming, what you were emulating, what energy you were trying to kind of capture. That was totally there in Speed Racer.
I love, Speed
That's a great
Racer
movie.
is,
Can never say enough good things about Speed Racer.
yeah, see, to me, Speed Racer is
We
not a
need,
matter
to,
of doing their own thing.
we
I
need to
think
do an extra version of this podcast that's just the Speed Racer
we should do a
cast,
Speed Racer
where we
podcast.
just talk for an hour and a half.
I've talked about I want to do some sort of like frame by frame and break down Speed Racer, like in all seriousness. You know what it is? I think Speed Racer, they were restrained by the world that they didn't create. And they had a very like through line of like what to do. Like this kid's gonna race, and at the end he's gonna race, and there's gonna be corruption in between, and that focused them to take all their weird energy and like world building, but like keep it around this like pretty like simple structure that made sense. Whereas like again, you look at kind of like the Matrix trilogy and even Cloud Atlas, which I like a lot. So Cloud Atlas works because it's based off of that other thing.
It's
off
called
the
a book, man.
Of that other whatever words.
The thing,
other
the
thing with words
the
on there.
words in the paper, in the dead tree paper thing.
So the thing on my bookshelf, and I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. You know what? Jupiter Ascending, literally, when you watch Jupiter Ascending to me, and it's true when you watch The Hobbit, all it makes you realize is how fucking impossible The Lord of the Rings was.
Yes.
Like the number of
No,
people.
that's
the thing. The number
trilogy is a miracle.
The number of people that can do huge epic storytelling and find a way to keep the story focus on character and small intimate details.
Yeah, good luck.
It doesn't happen. Like there's no. That's why the Hobbit movies are terrible. That's why the I mean even like what
Even the guy who did it.
yeah.
Even the guy who did
and
it.
freaking like the new Star Trek movies, it's the hardest thing to do. There's a reason why David Lean was such a freaking master when he came out, because it's really, really hard genre. It's like the hardest thing to do. And I've just been rewatching those Lord of the Rings movies, and it's just the filmmaking is freaking incredible. in those. But yeah, anyways.
But it's like, again, testament to how hard it is. Even the only dude who's ever done it
Yeah.
still has difficulty with it when
Couldn't
he
repeat
when he-
that success.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, you don't see the whole picture when you're directing something. It's especially in a scale like that when you're talking about years on a project with
Yeah.
going from VFX houses and you're not even seeing entire scenes at once. And it's like it's so easy for that shit to get out of control. Like, of course that stuff happens. So you look at something like Jupiter Ascending, it's like those people like Wachowskis have good storytelling sense. They have good character sense. Just I don't know, sometimes it falls apart.
Yeah, so
A cautionary tale for us all.
real quick,
What's up, John?
we got how much time do we have left?
Like
We're-
10 minutes,
we're about
5,
out,
10 minutes.
All right, five minutes. All right, well let's go through real quick. Nominees aside, what was your like just favorite film that you saw in 2014?
Oh.
John, why don't you kick us off, because you
I
seem
need like a
you so
list. I need like a
I need
list.
a-
What
yeah.
came out this year?
Just instinctually,
I
what's the
can't
first
even
thing comes
tell
to
you.
mind?
I don't
Just something-
remember Kingsman, but that didn't come out this year.
No, yeah. Okay.
Throw some.
All right, I'll start us off.
Thanks, John.
You should look up a film. It's on instant Netflix right now. It's called We Are the Best. It's a
Yeah, I've seen We Are
I
the
wanna
Best.
see
It's
that.
great.
Swedish film
We Are the Best. It's
You know
terrific.
what? Okay, I have mine.
about girls, 13-year-old girls who start a punk rock band, and it's one of the most honest
there was
and true
a
things
lot.
I've ever seen.
Let me be honest, there's a
on
lot
film.
of good stuff last year. I will say, in all honesty, Interstellar is not on my list at all.
No.
But a masterpiece like Grand Budapest Hotel is.
That might be my favorite.
Yeah.
An incredible feat of acting and filmmaking that Boyhood is on my list.
You saw it?
Yeah.
I'd
it
put
is.
Selma on my list. That was a moving picture.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I didn't see Selma yet.
That was
I'll see that.
fantastic.
But really, if you look at it, 2014 was just a wonderful year for movies.
It's one of those years when I
Under
look
the
at.
Skin.
Oh,
God.
Under the Skin might be my favorite.
Oh,
actually,
God.
yeah.
Raid 2 happened last year too. These
You know what
guys.
happens when you make when you make a lot of stuff, you don't get to see anything.
You don't get to see anything.
What was my favorite movie 2014? Whatever my favorite episode of Shark Tank was that I watched during 2014.
Yeah.
It was a year of a lot of movies I didn't get to see. Grand Budapest might be my favorite.
Just
Snowpiercer
gorgeous.
Snowpiercer was
was
awesome.
way up there. I'm trying to think what else
Snowpiercer,
came
Under the
out.
Skin, Grand Budapest. Those
There's
three
definitely
are
one
my-
or two small films
Yeah.
that came out like at the beginning of the year that I just don't remember right now. I'm trying to pull
Lego
up the-
Movie, of course.
Lego Movie's way up
yeah,
there.
Lego Movie.
Perhaps one of the greatest animated films of all
Jodorowsky's
time
Dune
that got
was
made.
excellent.
Yeah,
Just
Lego
and
Movie
then
is
also
way
in
up
terms
there.
of blockbusters, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, just a really competently put together,
All the ape
engaging.
stuff in that movie was awesome.
Yeah, indie film like Whiplash, that was just like
Didn't see it.
just edge of your seat, like horror
Yeah.
portrayal by J.K. Simmons.
Gone Girl was sweet.
Gone Girl was really
It's a good
interesting. Wow,
The-
yeah,
the-
a lot of
the-
Oh,
stuff.
Mr. Turner was way up there.
Oh, God, yeah,
Loves
it was
Mr. Turner.
Awesome.
You know, Edge of Tomorrow is probably my favorite like big blockbuster.
You know, I went back and saw that. I saw the final cut because I had seen an early work
Mhm.
print and did not like it whatsoever.
And?
Loved that
Ah,
finished
interesting.
product.
Really?
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's a blast. Inherent Vice, I liked.
That was good.
Tale of Princess Kaguya, final Ghibli film. That's awesome.
Final for now, hopefully not forever.
They're gonna clone Miyazaki so that he can keep making movies.
You know,
for
Grand
us.
Budapest might be it. And Grand Budapest wasn't when I saw it. I definitely really liked it when I saw it. When I rewatched it, and it's one of those movies that's just like literally the line of "and they shot him," and of
Oh,
course they
God.
shot him. Like
Mhm.
that film's just sunk in. And it's also the more
Spoiler alert.
shot who pronoun.
Slam
I think once it works. It works on so many levels, but to me, what made Grand Budapest maybe my favorite, if not my favorite, it's probably not my favorite. Wes Anderson, that's fantastic, Mr. Fox, but probably the best is that it literally explains like Wes Anderson.
Mm.
Like it's literally about a person who is like in this hellish society where war and genocide and horrible things happen. Like maybe just the smallest amount of civility and like dapperness and like and
Yeah.
that sort of like societal like high society is actually important. Really just made that whole thing so poignant to me. Like it's one of those things where it's like instead of being like oh they're all snobs, it's like would it be bad for all of us to kind of be snobs rather than Nazis?
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's kind of this thing is like, well, how about we just actually try to have a little civility?
So
But he does it in such a
little bit of
non
properness in it.
yeah, and he does that without any sort of
But
soapbox.
then
Like
there's-
it's just a subtle.
and also the really interesting framing where it's a story within a story within a story. Like,
Mhm.
right? It's like, and then the way that it just yanks you out at the back where it's like boom, boom, boom in the last image for it with the girl like reading the book. It was
Yeah.
just like, I was blown away
And again,
by that.
it's a sign of a master to be able to take the most dramatic climax, like the big moment, and do it off screen.
Yes,
and with the line.
absolutely.
And realize that that's where the maximum emotion and poignancy is. Like,
Absolutely.
that's one of those moments that you watch. You're like, oh, Wes Anderson's at the top
Straight
of his
up
game.
master level,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was not a big fan of Moonrise Kingdom. I was kind of over it. Wes Anderson, but when I saw that, I was like, whoa, okay, he's actually
Mhm.
still awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, check
And
that
also,
one out.
yeah. So anyway, that was, I think we got a little bit of a thing there.
I don't know,
Good
the
year.
moral of the story is go out and see some movies because there's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
great stuff out
When I
there.
see that list, it's all just like full of movies. I'm like, I need to see Whiplash. I need to see where are the best. I have like a whole bunch of iTunes bot movies. I'm just sitting.
Yeah.
That's just sitting there. that I need to
Overnighters.
watch.
Not the
A lot of good
biggest,
docs
not
this
the
year.
biggest Birdman fan.
Mm,
Nah, I
Eh.
love that score though. That jazz
Yeah,
score
there's a lot to
was
love.
incredible.
Mhm.
You got
just
better jazz score in Whiplash, baby. If you
And-
like that,
okay,
then
I
you
gotta
go
say,
watch
yeah,
Whiplash.
final scene of Whiplash might be my favorite
All right,
scene.
I'll
you,
get in
for,
there.
like,
I'll get
Anyway,
into that.
Moral story: a lot of great movies.
Go see some movies,
But not all of them can
Spend
win.
more time watching movies than
And
the
frankly,
Oscars, if that's
who
what
cares
you-
about
you know.
winning? Don't watch the Oscars. Just watch a good movie that you missed.
Winning isn't everything.
Yeah, read the
right?
list tomorrow. You'll feel better.
I mean, it feels good to win, but it isn't everything.
You know what? Yeah, that's a good idea. Take the time that you would watch the Oscars. Go watch a good movie.
You
that
can squeeze
missed.
two movies in.
Yeah.
That said, if there's any Emmy voters listening to this, for your consideration,
For your
Video Game High School
consideration,
Season 3.
Video Game
Score,
High School
actor,
Season
director.
3.
best stunts.
Best stunts. Probably our only chance. Best stunts. Just remember best stunts at least.
Best stunts. Yeah,
VFX.
actually has a shot. So please.
Is there a
consider.
best song thing for Emmys?
No.
Really?
I don't know.
That was
I
our
don't
one
know.
chance. Those guys wrote a good song. That had nothing to do with us, but we could probably submit that. Probably submit that. No, not the theme song. The theme song, the Lionheart song.
Yeah. You can hear it on the VGHS soundtrack available at our
Oh
store.
yeah,
iTunes.
that's why we have a soundtrack. I think 4 of you have bought it. It's a really good soundtrack,
Thanks
so check
to
it out.
4 of you. Everyone else, it's still there.
Yeah, everyone else.
It hasn't gone. We haven't taken it
Get
down.
into our
so
good graces.
you got-
Anyway,
you got
I think
time.
that's our show. Go watch it. Go watch a movie. Thank you again, Benji, Dolly, podcast producer, Alex Reeves, Point Blue Studios, podcast mix master, engineer, true American citizen,
Thank you, John.
Thank
John
you
Karmen
guys
joining
for
us.
having me. It was an
International Man
honor.
Mystery. We'll be back. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.